My name's Cire Hensman, and this is my brother.
Matthew Hensman.
We're the directors of The Prey, Legend of Karnoctus.
Cool, awesome. I'd love to start just by asking, obviously you guys are brothers. So what's it like being a filmmaking team as brothers, and what made you guys want to make this film?
To me, it's a dream come true because my brother was making movies before I was. When I was little, I was, playing basketball as a little boy. And my brother was next door at our neighbor's house in the garage, Alan Barlow's house. And he was already doing special effects makeup. He was already sculpting Halloween masks. He was already working on movie special effects. So why don't you talk about what's it like making movies with your brother?
I grew up just working in the garage with a bunch of friends making monsters. And that's what we did every day. We would do makeup and special effects on ourselves and just make us horror and scary. And that's what we did for fun.
So I was around it. I was around it since age, 5 to 10 years old. It was normal to see like sculptures on the table at the kitchen table while eating cereal. It was kind of like, oh, another vampire. Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome.
Just another day at the Hensman household.
Yeah, exactly. So it kind of was normal, but we were, 45 minutes away or 30 minutes away from Hollywood. So we didn't have any connections to anybody that made movies. But, we had connections to people that made monsters and special effects. So that kind of was the first thing that drew us in.
Matthew, what was your first monster?
I think the very first one I worked on was, I worked for a company called Alterian Studios and painting, it was called Darkman movie, Darkman starring Liam Neeson, where half his face is kind of like all bloodied up. Mm-hmm. So I paint that. That's probably the earliest thing that I can recall. It was probably 1990 is when I started working there at Alterian.
Name some other things you worked on from Alterian?
Oh, Army of Darkness was one of the movies they were working on. Addams Family. Just a myriad of different movies. I mean, if I wasn't around the people working on the movies, I was after work hanging out with people that were working on the other movies that we weren't working on. So it was just one big happy family of everybody. I mean, I know the people that worked on like Freddy Krueger or stuff like that. So it was just everywhere.
Okay, awesome. Can you talk about like maybe we'll just get to Karnoctus already. Can you talk about creating the look of the character and the monster?
Yeah, go ahead. Well, when it came to creating the look, we were at Al Medina's house, one of our producers, and Calvin was with us, another producer, and we were sitting around the table with Richard Carter, our concept artist, and we were describing what we wanted, and we were watching Richard Carter draw, and, we would just, pitch ideas of what we would like to see, because we didn't want it to be like your normal Bigfoot, because we thought, we've already seen that. That's not fresh. That's not exciting. That's not something I would want to buy the collectible action figure of. And when we're always thinking like, when we were 5 years old and we wanted to collect the toy, what would make a cool action figure and what would make a cool toy? So
that's the reason why we made the movie to begin with. I think my brother and I love toys so much that we're actually in the movie business so we can make toys from our movies.
It's like an indirect thing. You make the movie so that you can make toys, and when it came to designing, it's just throwing out ideas like, what about this? What about that? I had the idea of doing 4 eyes just because I thought it would look cool. And, he blinks the eyes separately and he has the X-ray vision and just fun stuff, playing off of Predator, but then changing it, changing it up and then seeing something that you haven't seen before. And then I remember my brother being like, oh man, we have to make this monster. We're not hiring some big budget company to make the monster. We got to make it ourselves. So don't get too crazy on me. And, luckily Richard drew it and we loved it. And then my brother kept adding ideas. He's like, how about we put feathers inside the mane so that it was different and changes it up and it didn't just look like a normal hair, and it just kind of evolves and you just start throwing things together and seeing what works. And then if you like the drawing, and then my brother made a statue of it. And then after the statue, we actually started going into the life-size production, and people don't understand, like it took us almost a year just to make the monster. I mean, because we were in a garage, making it ourselves. And when you get quotes in Hollywood, they'll be like, okay, that'll be like 4 million to make the monster. And we'll be like, okay, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
What can we
Now-
get for $5,000?
You can get the feathers.
You couldn't even buy the supplies.
Now, what inspired the name Karnoctus? Is that just for because it looks good in the title, or was there any specific inspiration for it?
I was thinking, okay, this creature is a carnivore and it's nocturnal. Carnivore, nocturnal, Karnoctus. And that was it.
Oh shit!
Did
one
you
of
just
our,
summon
one of
him?
our action figures. One of our action figures just jumped off the table. He wanted to be seen on camera. Here you go. Let me show him.
Well, it's the teeth are broken.
No, it doesn't matter if it's broken. It falls apart.
It
But
just fell down.
this is our pop vinyl version of Karnoctus right here.
Oh, really?
Statue version over there. Do you want to bring the statue up or no?
Sure.
Or bring the Mad Ball too.
Here's the first statue that we did after the drawings.
Oh, that's awesome. How long did that take, the statue?
Oh, just a day.
Yeah, not that long.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, maybe 2 days at the most. Because it's just super sculpty, from Michaels. And then this one is you buy some clay from Amazon, and then you just sculpt it, and then you put some plaster around it, drill a hole, and then pour some of this foam in here. It's a squishy little stress ball.
So it's a Karnoctus Mad Ball.
Karnoctus Mad Ball, and they're jumping off the shelves, as you can see. We can't keep them in stock. And this is another thing I'm excited to show you. It's this is what the Blu-ray and the DVD is coming in a VHS case.
Cool.
So you feel like the old days of when we used to have to go and rent movies from VHS.
Okay.
And it also comes
Now-
with a little surprise Karnoctus jerky. So we got
And it's actually edible?
yeah, it's edible beef jerky, but it's Karnoctus jerky, so it's different.
Oh, okay. But are you able to reveal the secret of what animal you used to make that then?
It's actual Karnoctus. We had to kill Karnoctus to be able to survive the movie. So we decided to do something productive with the body and turn it into jerky you can eat.
Dedicated to your craft. I appreciate it. Now, I'd love to also ask just in terms of monster movies that you guys both love, like what are some of those and what helped Karnoctus take form in terms of like actually making the movie?
Go for it, bro.
Well, I think my brother and I both walked out of the movie Predator just in total awe, and seeing something that's so different than anything you've ever seen before. So I think that really captivated us and inspired us to make something.
Another one that I would mention is the movie The Labyrinth. The Labyrinth is kind of like an inside joke between me and my brother, because we can keep watching that movie over and over again. And I think we've seen that movie more times than we've seen any other movie. And the fantasy and the fun involved in that movie is the kind of like the stuff that we want to make. So, when we watch things, and, my brother was a huge fan of Nightmare on Elm Street too, when that first came out. I remember him wearing the mask and the sweater and the glove in the theater, scaring the shit out of people when that movie came out. And that was like something that I remember, as far as monsters and what was our inspiration. But it's just fantasy, seeing things on screen that don't exist, and that they don't exist, but as you're watching the movie, it looks real. That type of creating that feeling is one of the funnest things I could imagine doing.
Now, speaking of things that look real, one thing I was really impressed by in the film was, I won't spoil which character, but one of them pretty much is like torn in half. He's just laying on the ground. How did you pull off that effect? I think it's practical, but it looks like really just convincing.
Yeah, 100% practical. My brother's the one that was on set doing all the practical effects. Go ahead.
It's funny. What happened? That scene wasn't even supposed to be shot that day. Something happened, I believe, where one of our actors wasn't able to make it. So always having to shift and go with the flow, you have to think, okay, well, what can we shoot? And so I think it was like really close to midnight. My brother says, okay, well, let's shoot that scene tomorrow. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't have anything for it. I got to figure out how to make it. And luckily, when you have such a good team around you, you can say, okay, I need this. Well, I don't want to ruin how we did it.
No, it's fine. You could tell.
Oh, dig a hole, put half his
Yeah.
body in there, make, stuff legs over here and put like body parts here, lots of blood, and make it look like he's spread apart, but still look like it's
Yeah.
him there.
I mean, just to give you an idea of the
Okay.
type of team that we had, my cousin Derek, he was on set and he was helping out just to be excited to be there with us and help us out. And I said, Derek, we need you to dig us a hole to put a body inside. An actor's his real body's gonna be inside of a hole, but it can't look fake. And he's like, okay, where do you want the hole? And I said, I walk around the cave and I'm just trying to like pick a spot, and I find a spot. And then I come back a couple hours later and he's got like 5 holes dug. And I said, why do you have 5 holes dug? He's like, just to give you options. And I was like, that's the kind of crew that we had, We had Gus and Lance like just going above and beyond, Angelo taking care of stuff. It was like a situation where at one point, I think we had 120 people on set, and we were just like blown away with the type of support and help that we had to make this movie.
Amazing. Well, where did you guys find the cave? And did anyone get claustrophobic?
Yeah, you have to exit the cave a few times in order to not go crazy. We got really lucky. We met Rene Valuze. He passed away recently, but he turned out to be such an amazing person and friend of ours. We went to his ranch called the Blue Cloud Movie Ranch in Santa Clarita, and we just became instant friends. And he pitched it to us. He's like, I want to work with you guys. Let's make a movie here. I got this ranch already. I rent it out, but I want to make a movie with you guys. And it was just one of those magical things. I remember going there and meeting him and just being like, this is unreal. People are joining our team and they're coming together wanting to work with us. And these resources that they have are unbelievable. He's got an Afghan town with a tank and everything, so.
You had a tank?
Yeah, they had everything.
We
Yeah.
had to get a tank.
Well, they had a tank on set that we thought was going to work. So we wrote it in the script, right? And then on the day of, Renee goes, oh no, that tank doesn't move. So then we're like, okay, now we have to go get a real tank because the tank we thought we had doesn't actually run.
And I think
Oh.
my brother
Okay.
was trying to talk me out of the tank scene, saying, oh, well, we just won't use a tank. And I was like, I want to see a tank in this movie. So we got to get this tank. I don't care how or what it costs. We're getting a tank.
Yeah, it was
And
tough.
luckily we got it.
Yeah, there was enough people on set that knew people. So we were like, okay, we got 5 hours. Somebody get us a tank here that actually runs. So we were able to pull that off.
And you got it in 5 hours?
Yes, we did.
That's how it all works.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it's a great intro to Kevin Grevio's character too, actually coming out of the tank. So
Oh,
I love, with that in mind, I'd love to ask just in general, I know he co-created Underworld. So was his expertise with just world building, was that able to help at all on the set?
I mean, on the set, we were already full blast making the movie. So there wasn't really any time to collaborate and talk about ideas that much. It was more like, let's execute what we had. But, since the movie, we've became, fast friends, and we talk all the time now. And he recently just made another movie called King of Killers, which he showed me a trailer to, which
He's
is
a director of.
he's a director now.
Debut.
Kevin Grievous got his first directorial debut just a couple months ago, and he showed me the first cut of the edit, and it's amazing. You guys got to check out King of Killers, coming out next year.
Oh, that's awesome. And also, can you just talk about like what it was like casting the people within the heist? Just Danny Trejo and all the others.
Yeah, one of the fun stories is I was working construction, and one of my friends that I was working with, he found out that I was going to film school, and he said, hey, maybe one day you'll work with my brother. And I was like, who's your brother? And he said, Danny Trejo. And I was like, Joey King, your brother's Danny Trejo? Why didn't you tell me this before? And he's like, yeah, maybe I can put in a good word for you and get him in your movie. So I think it took us like 14 years of like figuring out how to make movies and having a production company and making 100 commercials. And then I finally called him up and I was like, hey, Joey, I'm ready for you to get your brother in our movie. And he made it happen. So it was like total dream come true to get to work with him.
Okay, that is great. And I think I have time for one more. So I just have to ask, one of your characters in the film, Sully, he's terrified of spiders. So I'm just kind of hypothetical question. If you guys are trapped in the cave, what's the last thing you want to be trapped in there with?
Hypothetical.
Karnoctus.
Karnoctus would be way worse than spiders. I mean, I literally could just knock a spider off your back, but I don't think I could do that to a Karnoctus that's ripping you apart limb by limb. Yeah, so I think a Karnoctus would be terrifying. I can't think of anything else. No, that's it. We're pretty fearless, except when it comes to fantasy themed monsters.
Okay, fair enough. And that's a good thing to be scared of. That's the appropriate thing.
But we can't wait. We can't wait for everyone to see the action figure and to actually watch the movie on digital. July 7th. It's going to be available for everybody on thepreymovie.com. There's going to be like 10 spots where you can download the movie instantly. So we can't wait for everybody to watch this movie.
Awesome. Couldn't have put it better myself.
Predator meets Goonies.
Yeah, that's kind of like, people asked us, can you describe the movie in 3 words? And that's kind of like what came out. Predator meets Goonies.
Couldn't have put it any better myself wrapping up the interview. So I'd love to thank you both for taking the time to chat with me about your film.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Daniel.